Hello everyone, welcome back to DSP versus the Internet, episode 87. We have watched 2 Ultra Member videos, let's go to the next. eBombsWorld.com. I remember eBombsWorld.com. They used to have weird shit like this back in the day. And they would be like, oh, this is like, memeable stuff. Or weird stuff from different places. I don't know why someone submitted this. It's obviously a disabled woman dancing, and it's like, this is the kind of weird shit they would put on that. He would find odd videos and put it on the site, and he'd be like, oh, look, it's a meme. And then people would be like, well, this is oddball shit. See, there's nothing to it. There's literally nothing to it. It's just a disabled woman dressed up and dancing. eBombs World was weird. Sometimes there'd be stuff on there that actually would be interesting, and then there would be weirdo shit like this. You're like, why is this on there? Like, what was the purpose of uploading this video? Right? Very odd. Okay.
Before the release of Dragon Ball Sparking, Bandai Namco was looking crazy in the face. They were coming off the heels of this massive review bomb that hit Tekken 8. You had 2 portions of it. 1, player being upset about the stage, but then 2, the players being upset that a Chinese player was banned. We won't go into the details. I made many videos about it, but
I know about that stuff. In a nutshell, number 1, they started charging for DLC stages, but previously they were all free. So everyone just assumed they were all going to be free. And then all of a sudden they started charging. Like, wait a minute. So you started with this one thing, right? And then all of a sudden, now you're just taking it away. And they were like, oh, well, we never promised everything would be free. Like, no, but you already provided many things free. Why would you then think that we're going to start paying for it when you already gave it to us for free? So I understand that people being upset. And then they had a tournament where a player showed up and I guess placed well, and then got disqualified because he was from China. Oh, Chinese players aren't eligible for this tournament. They're like, what? Like, you didn't even publicly, like, fucking talk about this. So why are you doing that, So now they're claiming they're going to change the rules and everything. So yeah, they had a big, like, entire 2 months of everyone hating them.
as you can see here, Steam has basically excluded that review bomb from the Steam review. Steam says this time range has been marked as containing an abnormal set of reviews that we believe are largely unrelated to the likelihood that you would enjoy the product. The reviews within the period are excluded from the review score by default, right? So this moved the score from mostly negative back to mixed where it was before, the whole, Chinese player situation took place, right? But then when you look at their Steam player base, right, when Heihachi came out, they were sitting pretty at a 14,000. Now, I was wondering if they would maintain that number, but as we can see, they have not. The number fell back down, and it's sitting at 7,000, kind of where it was before Heihachi came out. So Tekken is not in the best place, but Bandai Namco as a whole, you would assume they're doing better, especially with the release of Sparking Zero. We have confirmation now that this game has sold 3 million copies in the first 24 hours. That is massive. The Tekken players celebrated when Tekken 8 was announced to have 1 million copies day one, so you can see just how much bigger it is by comparison. Now, to be fair, Dragon Ball is one of the most famous IPs of all time, so it's no surprise that it's going to beat Tekken 8. It's really not even close. But Bandai Namco as a company, you would imagine they would be doing somewhat better. But then at the same time as this Sparking news break about the sales, you have this other situation break where Bandai Namco is being accused of trying to force their employees to leave the company. Before we get...
I was going to talk about that on my show, but it just kept getting bumped as a topic and I never got around to it. But yeah, that's basically what's happened is in Japan, they've got this weird thing where if they want you to leave the company because they don't need you anymore as an employee, they don't try to fire you. Because I guess there's actually laws in place to protect them from, protect employees from just being outright fired unless they do something wrong. They can't just, lay you off. So instead, they try to make it so that you don't want to work there anymore. Like it's wild to me. I wonder if he's going to describe what's going on.
Get into this, let's just go back a couple of months ago, just in case you guys don't remember. Blue Protocol, that was a game that Bandai Namco gambled hugely on. They wanted that to be their cash cow for the next like 5-10 years, but it didn't pan out that way. That game flopped in Japan. They were going to release it worldwide, but then they decided to just scrap it. They
I don't
lost
even know what he's talking about. I never even heard of it. Blue Protocol? I don't even know what the hell that is.
huge amount of money on that, and this is kind of, in my opinion, this is what triggering them to be so aggressive in their monetization elsewhere. They lost so much money on that game, and they want to make it back. They need to make it back to impress their investors. Now Tekken 8 isn't really doing so well, right? Sparking is kind of doing well, but if you look across the board at their other properties, I mean, they just don't have much going for them. Bandai Namco is one of the biggest gaming studios on the planet, and so far they're just dropping miss after miss after miss. Going all the way back to the beginning of the year, they were
Wait a minute. What about the Elden Ring DLC? That did insane. The Elden Ring DLC did wildly successful sales. So that might be what they're writing on right now. And now Dragon Ball might be their next one, right?
talking about how they canceled like 5-6 games, but they didn't say what games. They just said we're tired of making these low budget, low quality games, and we're done with it. A lot of people celebrated, but then a lot of people was like, wait a minute, what do they consider low budget? Like I said, the Soul Calibur could have been a part of that. We will never know unless they say, but you can only assume. But now you have here today, I'll read
I didn't even think about that. Like, Soul Calibur's been gone for a long time. I didn't even think that that was what they were talking about.
this headline. Bandai Namco has canceled development on multiple games. So again, including ones related to One Piece and Naruto. At this point, I don't think we're ever going to get a Soul Calibur 7 or 8. I don't know what number they're on, but it doesn't matter. They're not going to do it. They canceled so many games. The odds of them still working on a Soul Calibur, considering how Tekken 8 is performing, is not high at all. That game's probably donezo. But it continues. They are also reducing staff through traditional Japanese approach by sending workers to rooms where they are giving nothing to do, putting pressure on them to leave voluntarily. Now, before
So just think about that. You go to work and you're like, okay, what are we working on today? Well, nothing. Here's your room. What do you mean? Go in the room and sit there all day. What do you mean? No, this is what you're doing all day. You're just sitting in a room. Well, can we work on a game? No, there's no game to work on. Just sit there. Well, I don't want to waste my time. I'm going to leave. Well, then you're fired. Because you left, you walked off the job, we can fire you. Wait, what? Yeah, just sit in this room all day and do nothing. And receive a paycheck. So some people would love it. You want to know the truth? In the United States of America, I feel like people would love this. They'd be like, wait, what? So all I have to do is sit here like a lump all day and receive pay. I don't actually have to do the work. I just receive the pay. Yes, that's actually what they're doing over there. But in America, people will be like, this sounds good. All right, this is my dream job. To sit here and not work sounds like my dream job. But in Japan, you know, they have a culture where they want to keep busy. They want to be productive. It's actually culturally embarrassing to them to have a job where they're not doing something productive. So to them, that's torture. So they're actually doing this, and people, they're like, please quit. And then some people are.
Analyze what's really happening here, you do have to just acknowledge the memes. If you click into the comment section and you look at this, people from other parts of the world are saying like, oh, if they send me to a room,
exactly,
still paying me, but they're trying to put pressure on me to leave, like I would be loving it. I will sit there all day with my Steam Deck or my game deck or my phone and just, you know, get paid to do nothing. That's what a lot of people are saying. But really, I think the reality of this situation is like far worse than we can imagine. Like a company putting pressure on an individual to leave, reading it probably sounds way better than experiencing it, is all I'm saying. Now, if you guys remember Dale Walker, this is the person who I was talking with on stream a little while ago, and also this was the person who was giving us a little a bit of developer perspective on the whole Tekken 8 stage situation, right? It says, because Japanese game studios aren't legally allowed to fire employees like the West, they have a practice called, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, where they make the employees' job so unpleasant they feel forced to quit. Staff are often put in windowless rooms with very little or nothing to do. For all the people who are like in America, EU, who say, oh, I would just sit there and blah, 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 blah. No, you wouldn't. Bandai Namco, they can't fire these people because of laws. I don't know if that's a good law or a bad law, but regardless, Bandai Namco doesn't want these employees. These employees are like a part of something in their organization related to video games that is not turning a profit. We can only speculate what games they come from, but you know, the whole idea that these guys are just sitting there, you know, living life, having a good time is not true, right? If this was an EU studio, an American studio, the headlines, instead of saying they're putting them in rooms, the headlines would say Bandai Namco just let go 1,000 employees, 500 employees, something like
Exactly.
that, right?
They would just do it. They would just let you go, which has happened. It just hasn't happened in Japan, but it's happened everywhere else, right? Okay, I mean that's enough of that. I knew about this story. I just never covered it for the podcast, but yeah, it's pretty weird. Like again, some people are thinking, "Oh, this would be like great for us. We'd love to. Hey, I have to come in and do no work and get paid." It's like, yeah, but probably they wouldn't let you use your phone. They wouldn't let you use any like no mobile device. They probably are telling you must just sit here doing nothing in this room. If you do anything else but just sit here and do nothing, we can fire you legally. So imagine that. Some people I think would still do it. I think some people would. They would sit there and they would just like go into like a trance, right? They would like meditation. They would meditate and take the paycheck. Okay. I think this next video is our last Ultra member video.
Hello, this is Open Brain, bringing you
is.
insights into international affairs. Singapore, a small country with an area of just over 700 square kilometers
This 100% is an AI voice. I recognize it.
and a population of just over 6 million, lacks resources such as oil, natural gas, rubber, and even fresh water. However, it is the world's third largest financial center and
Does this have the countdown? Here we go. I want to skip the intro and actually watch the numbers. So.
the best education in Asia. According to the 2024 Global Elite Quality Index, Singapore surpassed Switzerland to claim the top spot globally. The country's ability to attract elite talent is closely linked to its investment in education.
Now, we know all about this. We've already watched a video previously explaining that their education system is basically the best in the world, and that was rated by an international organization. That wasn't like an internal review, and they're just tooting their own horn. They actually say that the education in Singapore is the best in the world, and that's crazy. But, hey, for a small nation to have the best education in the world, that's something to be said, I guess, right?
Singapore has the highest level of education in the world, ranking first in Asia. The National University of Singapore is ranked 8th globally and first in Asia. Singapore has long implemented bilingual education in Chinese and English, making it a popular choice for many high-income families to send their children here. In an environment that preserves Chinese education while promoting Western thought, children receive a unique learning experience. Singapore's recognition as the top education system in Asia is due to the government's emphasis on education. Lee Kuan Yew pointed out that Singapore lacks resources and must create its own, with talent being the key to changing the nation's destiny.
So there you go. If you have very few natural resources, make your people the resource. I think that's smart.
Each year, the government invests 10 billion Singapore dollars in education to retain the best talents. Number 2, the best economic freedom.
What do they mean by that?
In 2023, Singapore surpassed Hong Kong in the Global Economic Freedom Report, becoming the #1 country worldwide. Although Hong Kong will return to first place in 2024, Singapore has long attracted foreign investment due to its business-friendly environment and low tax policies.
Okay.
Many foreigners may not know that the corporate tax rate in Singapore can be as low as 17%, while personal income tax is capped at 24%, and there is no tax on capital gains. These low tax policies make Singapore a haven for foreign capital. As a financial center in Asia, Singapore not only holds the record for the most signed multilateral free trade agreements, but also offers generous subsidies for small and medium-sized enterprises, ranking.
Okay, I'm just going to pause temporarily. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, guys. Let's resume. Sorry about that.
Ranking first in the business environment for 16 consecutive years. Number 3, the wealthiest country. Based on the 2024 data on GDP per capita, Singapore, with a GDP per capita of $88,000, is the wealthiest economy in Asia. With a highly developed market economy, Singapore has become a haven for many foreign companies due to geopolitical factors, as well as a gathering place for the world's rich. In the past, Singapore focused on attracting talent, but it now prioritizes attracting super-rich individuals. Currently, Singapore has 240,000 millionaires and has taken the lead in attracting family offices.
Whoa, it has 240,000 millionaires? Holy shit. I wonder how many millionaires there are in each country, right? Like, how many millionaires are there in America? How many millionaires are there in Great Britain? How many millionaires are there? You know, I would like that statistic. I want to know how many, like, do they have the most? That's a lot, because remember, they're tiny. Singapore essentially is the size of New York City, right? And it's a country. They have that many millionaires? That's insanity.
Before
Holy
the global
shit.
pandemic, Singapore keenly seized opportunities by actively introducing favorable policies for family offices, causing their numbers to surge from 400 in 2020 to 1,400 in 2024, further enhancing its status as a wealthy nation. Number 4, the safest country. In the 2023 ranking of the safest cities in the world, Singapore ranked first in Asia and second globally for safety. As a typical rule of law country, Singapore's safety benefits from its strict legal system.
Right.
In addition to its famous harsh laws, Singapore still retains the brutal practice of corporal punishment. Despite its small land area, the government has installed approximately 86,000 surveillance cameras, meaning there are 15 cameras for every 1,000 people. Under such extensive surveillance, who would dare commit a crime? Furthermore,
Wow, Charles says the United States is home to over 22 million millionaires as of 2023, representing 6.6% of the country's population. I missed the boat. I missed the boat. Fuck, it left without me. How did I miss that boat? God damn it.
due to the government's long-standing promotion of a civilian defense policy, police efficiency is also quite high. Most communities have security teams to assist the police in ensuring community safety. Reports indicate that 40% of crime suspects are apprehended with the assistance of the public. Therefore, Singapore's reputation as the safest country is undoubtedly well-deserved. Number 5.
So it's basically like it's the safest country, but man, you better not ever do anything wrong because you are 100% going to get tattled on and caught without exception. Everyone is out to tell on you because there's incentive to tell on you in Singapore. Seriously, like you get rewarded for tattling on people doing stuff that's wrong or illegal. There you go.
The Best Corruption Perceptions Index. Singapore is a favored destination for foreign investment in Asia, largely due to its world-renowned integrity. From the outset of its independence, Singapore has explicitly rejected any form of bribery and nepotism.
Again, and there's a reason why. Because they all tattle on each other and they're rewarded for the tattling. See? Okay.
6. The Best International Airport. If you have ever traveled to Singapore, arriving at Changi International Airport marks the beginning of your beautiful journey in this city. Singapore is the only place in the world that can integrate waterfalls, forests, and gardens into its airport. Changi Airport has won the title of the world's best airport 12 times and has been recognized as the best airport for entry and exit services and the best airport hotel for 9 consecutive years. Opened in 1981, Changi Airport is also ranked as the 5th busiest international airport in the world. Currently, Changi Airport has 4 passenger terminals. Terminal 1 is themed around tropical forests, while Terminal 2 features greenery and glass to create a modern atmosphere. Terminal 3 includes a butterfly garden, making it one of the first international airports where travelers can see around 1,000 butterflies indoors. Terminal 4, on the other hand, is designed with a contemporary...
See, and there you go. So you go to the butterfly garden, you better be ready to behave like if a butterfly goes on your shoulder, you go like this, you kill one by accident, you probably go to jail. Like, seriously. You probably do. And if someone sees you do that shit, they're going to tattle on your ass. Be like, dude, he killed a butterfly. Get that motherfucker. And everyone jumps on you and beats you. And you get thrown in jail. That's pretty much, that's it. You go to Singapore, you got to be on your absolute best behavior. There is no fucking around at all.
Feel. Number 7. The busiest port. Since 2021, The Port of Singapore has been rated as the world's best seaport and a top international shipping center, and it is the second busiest port in the world, following the Port of Shanghai. Located at the Strait of Malacca, the Port of Singapore sits on the busiest maritime route globally, serving as a crossroads for maritime traffic in Southeast Asia and a crucial hub for trade between the East and West. Thus,
That's why their port is like perfectly centrally located to be a really good port. Oh, the most expensive city. Oh
Number
boy.
8, the most expensive city. Many may not know that Singapore is not only the wealthiest country in the world, but also the most expensive city. According to the 2023 Global Wealth and High-End Living Report, Singapore rose from 5th to 1st place in the global ranking of the most expensive cities for high-end living. In recent years, the cost of owning a car in Singapore has skyrocketed to 100,000 Singapore dollars, with some...
We talked about this, that in Singapore, not only do you have to buy the car, but then every few years you have to buy the license program to drive the car. So even though you buy it for 100K, then you have to spend like so much more money. It's like you buy 5 cars at the end of a decade. And that's why there's so few cars, because no one wants to pay that much. They all use public transportation instead.
Prices even reaching 150,000 Singapore dollars. Due to strict car ownership regulations and high taxes, the cost of private transportation in Singapore is among the highest in the world. Furthermore, with a surge of capital and wealthy individuals moving in, housing prices and rents in Singapore have reached record highs. Reports indicate that private residential rents in Singapore have become the most expensive in the Asia-Pacific region, with a median rent of $2,600, far surpassing
$2,600 median rent. Now, if that's USD, which I'm assuming he did adjust for, just think of that. Like here's the thing. It really depends. Like when I bought this place 10 years ago, my house, it was only worth like 250K, I want to say. So my mortgage on it right now, I think I'm down to like 200K or something like that. But my mortgage payment now is over 2K a month. Okay. But that's for my house. They're paying $2,600 for the apartment. That's probably nowhere near as big as this house. Like, holy crap.
Surpassing Hong Kong's $1,686. Number 9, the most efficient government. It is well known that Singapore is praised for its government efficiency. In 2024, Singapore, with its outstanding leadership, forward-looking national institutional capacity, financial management, and market attractiveness, ranked first in the global government efficiency rankings for 2 consecutive years. Since the time of Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, the Singapore government has demonstrated not only foresight, but also exceptional execution in industrial transformation.
And also how to rock pink dress shirts. It actually looks good on it.
Establishing public housing, ensuring that everyone has a home, and educational reform. During the pandemic, Singapore responded quickly and successfully, showcased a model for pandemic response, further highlighting the government's efficiency.
I wonder how they reacted.
Number
I don't
10,
know.
the most exhausted country.
Most exhausting.
According to the Global Fatigue Index, Singapore is the most exhausted country in the world, with a score of 7.2.
Now, that's not good. So you have the most money, right? It's the most expensive to live in, the best education, right? A lot of bests, but then if you're the most exhausted, is it worth it? Is the trade-off worth it to have all those things, but then be completely exhausted, tired, frustrated all the time? I don't know. No one's relaxed over there?
In terms of average working hours, Singapore ranks first in Asia with 2,238 hours, surpassing China's 2,100.
2,238 hours. Just fucked up. Hold on. 2,238. An average of 6 hours a day. But of course, keep in mind, they have days off, right? 2,268 hours, they said? 2,268? So what if we divide that by weeks? 2,268 divided by 52. 43 hours. That's not bad. 43-hour work week? Wait a minute. That's less than me. That's less than me. I work more than that. I work more than 43 hours a week. What the fuck? All right, this is bullshit.
174 hours, and Japan's 1,723 hours, equating to nearly 43 hours of work
I just
per
figured that
person
out.
each week.
Yeah. How is that high? I'm so confused. Wait, that's high in Asia? I'm not even kidding you. Every job I've ever had, that was a full-time job. I've worked more than that. So when I had the helicopter job, I worked eight-hour shifts. So I went in at like 9:30 in the morning, and I got out around 5:30. So it was about an 8-hour shift. Now, I did have a lunch. So maybe I worked more like 7-hour day. And then, but I worked from home a lot. I always had to work from home, and there's a lot of times I spent extra hours. Now I work more than 43 hours a week. The difference is I love my job. I consider this relaxing and fun as well as work because I get to hang out with you guys every time that we do it, right? But, interesting. Anyway, all right, guys. Guess what? We have finished the Ultra Member videos. That means for the next hour and a half, we'll be watching all of the submission tier videos in random order. And you never know what you're going to see over there. All right? So, guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show so far. In the next part, it is time for submissions tier. See you then.